I was walking through Barnes & Noble the other day and I saw a whole rack filled top to bottom with just Atomic Habits. And it's not just Atomic Habits, it's the same with all the other books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, The Subtle Art of Not Giving. It's not that all these books are bad. I mean, they are popular for a reason. But for those of us looking for an edge, looking for the next evolution of ourselves, sometimes these books aren't enough. Haruki Murakami said, if you only read the books everyone else is reading, then you can only think what everyone else is thinking. How many books or YouTube videos can you watch that tell you to stop caring what everyone else thinks before The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F feels meaningless? How many years are you going to tell yourself, this is the year I'll build better habits? And if you watch enough YouTube videos where everyone tells you the same stories or says the same things, it all starts to lose its steam. So I dug through my library and found 5 books that aren't on everyone's list that have helped change my life. These books dig deeper into how your brain works, how to live a good life, how to focus, and how to get yourself to do hard things. They're also written from different perspectives: a therapist, a grieving father, a failed CEO, a legendary NBA player, and a researcher. If you want to make more money, get in better shape, or find the love of your life, you have to look at the things from more than just one angle, especially if it's the most popular angle. The first book is written by a pair of therapists who hated the way most therapy is done, digging into your past, figuring out why things happened, and talking through them. Most people end up in therapy for years without a solution to their problem. So they came up with 5 tools to get their clients to take action in their lives and wrote a book about it called The Tools. The subtitle of this is 5 tools to help you find courage, creativity, and willpower to inspire you to live life in forward motion. My favorite was the first tool called The Reversal of Desire, and it gives you a step-by-step for how to get out of your comfort zone and look at pain as something that sets you free rather than to be avoided. And I read this in 2020 when my business was closed, my kids were out of school, and there was smoke in the air for a full month due to forest fires. And I was really tempted to curl up in bed and not leave the house for months, like so many other people were doing. The Reversal of Desire tool helped me look at the thing I was avoiding, like going to work or leaving the house, and say, number 1, bring it on, like you can do this. Number 2, I love pain, I can handle it. And number 3, pain sets me free, which means I want this pain and it will make me stronger. When I was considering quitting, reciting these words gave me just a little bit of juice to keep going. Now I look back on that time and think I made it through that, rather than that was so horrible. And that's just one of the 5 tools in the book. The others are active love, sending love to people who make you angry; inner authority, a fun exercise that helps you build more confidence; grateful flow, a way to feel more gratitude; and jeopardy, imagining your death as a motivator for living life the way you want. If you're into taking action, you will really enjoy how the tools helps get you focused on moving forward rather than dwelling in the past. The second book is the one I recommend most often to anyone who has gone through the loss of a loved one. It's the story of a former Google executive who, despite his success, found himself unhappy with his life, and he approached the problem like an engineer, putting together an equation that would make his life better and testing it systematically. When he lost his son due to a medical error during a routine procedure, it tested this equation and his resolve. It's called Solve for Happy: Engineer Your Path to Joy. Now the equation is happiness is greater than or equal to your perception of the events in your life minus the expectations of how your life should behave. It's the way we think about the events in our life and how we compare them to our expectations that make us happy or unhappy. Imagine somebody shoves in front of you in a line. If you're in England, where people are very orderly, then you'll be outraged at how rude this person is. But if you're in a place like Italy, where there isn't as much respect for lines, it's just a normal day, so you don't make much of it. Your happiness is determined by the story you tell about what something means. This can be applied to standing in line, getting feedback from your boss, or even losing a loved one, like he talks about in the book. Now, I'd recommend the audiobook for this one because you can really hear the emotion as Mo goes through, and you feel connected to him throughout the journey. The third book was written by the brother of a famous billionaire named Naval Ravikant. His brother Kamal was also in business. Kamal and Naval, I kind of love that. But he wasn't quite as successful. He was a CEO of a company that was failing and had broken up with his girlfriend and didn't want to face the world. The book is called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. The title on this kind of it turned me off. It really felt in the clouds and delves into a world of manifestation, which I don't feel super great about. But Kamal does a great job breaking down how we are stuck in these mental loops of thinking and how it creates our reality. If you always grew up with a parent or sibling telling you were smart, then you just assume that you're smart in everything you do, and you reject the idea that maybe you don't know the answer to every problem, so you don't learn new things as easily. The author was falling into a loop of feeling like a failure and broke out of it by saying, "I love myself," every time it came up. And it started changing the way he thought about failure, joy, and life. I found this particularly helpful when thinking about relationships. I tend to focus on other people's needs first and then myself. This is great for building relationships, but not great for your own mental health. When you love yourself first, you can show up much better for the people in your life. And this book gives you some simple steps to help you do that. Book number 4 is a biography called The Rise: Kobe Bryant and the Pursuit of Immortality. Now, if you don't know, Kobe Bryant is a basketball player, and I got a picture of him right up there, actually. And this book was written after Kobe's death in 2020, and it tells the story of his high school basketball team right up until he was drafted to play in the NBA. Now, at the time, it was insane for a player to be drafted directly from high school to the pros, and only one player in the previous 20 years had done it. Kobe moved from Philadelphia to Italy as a teenager and really wasn't much of a basketball player, but he decided to put everything he had into the game and grew to be the #1 player in the country in high school and went 7th in the NBA draft. Then he went on to become one of the greatest players ever. Some of the big lessons I took from this book and applied to my life are, number 1, the value of going all in on one thing. Kobe decided he was going to be the greatest basketball player ever at a very early age, and he started making all his choices revolve around basketball. I found going all in to be a gamble, but not nearly as scary as half-assing everything and ending up with mediocre results. It's part of why I quit all of my side hustles and consulting to focus on my business and now my YouTube channel. When you go all in, you get much better results. Second lesson I took from this book is curiosity is a superpower. Once Kobe decided to go all in, he not only practiced, but he also asked every basketball expert he could on how to get better. He studied tape of the best players of all time on repeat so he could copy their moves and figure out their tricks. And every question he asked revolved around basketball. Every practice he had, he was working on something he learned from one of those conversations or tapes. And I found the more that I ask questions, the more successful I become. When you're trying to earn more money or get in shape, there's a 100% chance that someone you know has already solved this problem. And all you would need to do is ask them how they did it. When you get the answer, follow their playbook until it stops working and then ask the next person what they did. All the most successful people I've ever met are intensely curious. The third lesson I got from this book is you earn confidence by putting in the work. Kobe used to practice for 4 to 6 hours per day every single day. He even broke down his day and figured out that he could do 3 practices of 2 hours each if he woke up at 4 a.m. He figured if he did that, then he'd catch up and be ahead of most of the people who were beating him early on in basketball camps he attended. And once he started beating them, he knew they would never be able to put in that amount of work, so they would never catch up. And this was a source of his confidence. He outworked everyone. There's just no substitute for putting in the work. Now, I know the amount of effort we put in our business and every single client we work with, and I know that no other business in our area even comes close to what we can do. So when someone says, "I'm going to go check out the business down the street," I'm confident to say go for it because I know they won't get the same service or the same results, and they'll still have their problem 12 months from now and come back to us. The last book, and the favorite on my list, is called Do Hard Things. All I need to do is read the title of this book and I'm kind of fired up. I love doing hard things, but the premise of this book is not what you'd expect. It says that the old military model of no pain, no gain and sink or swim is not actually what makes people tough. It turns out that getting yourself to do hard things is less about forcing it and more about accepting reality, building a tolerance for discomfort, and controlling your own emotion. He breaks it down into 4 pillars. Number 1 is ditch the facade and embrace reality. Don't pretend you've got this when you don't. Most people who have true confidence are quiet because they recognize the challenge ahead of them. Number 2 was listen to your body. You won't get far if you push yourself into the physical and emotional red zone. Pay attention to the signals your body is giving you and know when to embrace them and when to ignore them. Number 3 was respond instead of react. When something happens, you have a choice about what your response will be. Will you panic or go back to embracing reality and do your best based on the current new situation? When you're doing something hard, you're gonna have things come up that threaten to derail you. You have to make hundreds of little recalculations about your effort level, focus, fatigue, etc. as you go to keep yourself steady. Anything else will result in overdoing it and giving up. And the last lesson from this book is transcend discomfort. This was the most interesting because it talks about how you must have your basic needs met before you can go into this realm of self-actualization. Once you're in that flow, you can use hard things to get you closer to it. And when you do, you'll find more meaning. This book puts academic research and study around some of the ideas I've seen every day at the gym. When people get used to facing discomfort, they feel more fulfilled, make better progress, and start seeing changes in other areas of their life. If you're someone who's read all the books but has trouble taking action, and maybe you even read more books to avoid taking action, I've been there, and I created a system to help beat that kind of procrastination. You can check it out by clicking on this video over here. And do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.